Hello, and welcome to today's episode of My Mum Said I Could Watch It. It's, as you can see, it's a full moon outside. As you can see from the screen behind me, the light is here and then it shines there because, algorithms and stuff. Yes, for those of you who haven't recognized the film at this point, it's Ghoulies 2. In many ways, I consider it the apex of the Ghoulies quadrilogy. Three, four lights, I don't know, but it's the one that I think hits the actual bar of comedy and horror, the fusion, and why I'm going to talk about it for about the next 10 minutes. Now, 1987, this is the point where 1987, so yeah, I'll be 11 going on 12. So this is when I'm not really having to push so hard on the my mum said sort of thing. Not really seeing films around a mate's house anymore. Just catching them, bringing them home. Being able to come home on my own. Probably a can of Pepsi did be my Friday night treat. At this point, I do have a TV and video in my room. Pretty exorbitant. But that was my going to big school birthday present. Got nothing else. But it's the Alba. This is my Alba generation film playing behind me now. As a basic premise, it has nothing to do with Ghoulies. Ghoulies only really exist, I think, in terms of the design, which is great. I think they are very original. I think Carl Blukler, who then goes on to make Ghoulies 3, did some fantastic work. Ghoulies 1, I'll touch on in another episode. It's very basic. This is proper puppets. And there's some amazing stop motion as well. Just those few minutes where I go, was that all the budget? Well done, because that's exactly where it should be. The story itself, as you've probably seen, there's Uncle Ned and I'm going to call him Marty, Uncle Johnny Depp. He's basically running a thing called Satan's Den within this travelling carnival. This travelling carnival still reports to a big company. So you have P. Hardin turn up, who is the big company exec. Young, up and coming, yuppie. LA yuppie on every level. Turns up and says, everything has to make a profit or we're closing the stuff down. Now, the Ghoulies, in between all of this, have been able to sneak their way into the carnival and have taken residency in Satan's Den. This allows vicious killings, cat stranglings, and mayhem to ensue, particularly in the last act, a hilarious consequence. That itself works as a weirdly inverted fairy story. On the one hand, you could have kind of told this as this is an ailing company, the big evil core sold by the strangely seductive LA guy, suddenly are visited by three spirits, Catty, Ratty, and Fishy, and they imbue the place with such magic and wonder. The audiences come to see everything that happens, except Catty, Ratty, and Fishy eat everyone. They eat everyone, thus creating this human sacrifice element for the spectacle. Is it a comment on, why do we go to see horror movies, meta-narrative, because this is an aging spectacle needing the new blood? I'm sure there's something very clever there. Really, though, I tuned in for Phil Fondacaro. For those of you who don't know Phil Fondacaro, get out. For those of you who understand the genius that is Phil Fondacaro, this is very much, for me, one of the high points of Phil Fondacaro's career. I think this is the one where, I've mentioned it before, as a man who, I'm just using the terms I know, dwarfism I believe would be appropriate for him, gets to play the most substantive, straight, dramatic role in Sir Nigel. Yes, he has a Shakespearean fetish, but you know what? He delivers it with such aplomb. It's a great character, a sympathetic character, very much the heart of what's going on. Uncle Ned, let's face it, is an alcoholic, slightly delusional. His nephew is just that punk kid element, rough house of the streets. Phil Fondacaro sees everything and brings compassion. He sees how wounded people are and he still wants to heal them. And he's got every reason to just be a bum himself. He wanders around in a sort of goblin demon suit as spectacle is his day job, while still having the belief of himself as an actor. That's his character. So Nigel is a fantastic character throughout this thing, and it pays off as well. The arguments he has about his size and stature just play off really well and very naturally. It's watching a man who I think I've never met, Phil Fondacaro. I feel so formal about it. I must refer to him as Phil Fondacaro. With such centeredness of himself that it just exudes into all of his acting. The film itself is also making a comment on the dated nature of it all. It's the Carney is dated. It is dated. You can't deny the logic of Hardin when he comes in. Satan's Den is Universal Horror Monsters. The strong man is an older guy himself. Now, there is also the love interest who works at Aladdin's harem. And while I would say that I myself, in terms of the belly dancing that goes on, in terms of its authenticity, I would say that it is not really of the Kawleeya or Iraqi belly dance move. So by omission, it does seem somewhat reminiscent of the dancing and the techniques of the Vœu de Terre that the French would use for it, or the Raq Shaadi, which is the more traditional Arabic dance, the Raq Shaadi. I've want to make that clear distinction in terms of my knowledge of technique and skill, and that I'm not just a 47-year-old man ogling collegiate girls, gyrating in thin veils. I do understand cultural differences and appropriations, and my ex-wife is banned from the comments. Similarly, in other aspects of the spectacle, the freak show, as it were, it's. I like the fact that it's dated even then. The person who's half man, half woman, of course, no one's going to care about that. And a bearded woman somehow being something that you would never find attractive, and that would be by definition a freak. I've never had a problem with that, as my ex-wife can attest. So you have these moments of the spectacle and the setting, yet the dramatic beats of the film, from the Ghoulies arriving, the Ghoulies beginning to kill people, plot twist, they kill Uncle Ned halfway through. And the reason why I mention this, because it's such a key scene in creating dramatic beats. Once he dies, the film doesn't do that normal thing that a horror film does of going, oh, he's dead, oh, let's go get vengeance. There is a real period where you spend time with Nigel, the nephew, mourning his death, trying to decide, okay, do we keep the business going on because it's what he would have wanted? We've still got bills to pay. These are realities. And when death happens, that is a reality. It's not that every bank just suddenly gives you a month off, that work just goes take as long as you want. I mean, you hear those words, but then you get sacked. In the midst of this, the love interest from the harem, as I say, one of the Raq Shaadi dancers, banned from comments, is opening up herself. She is actually dealing with this conflict of possibly going off to have a bigger career in LA with the LA Dick. The guy does this thing as well, because he's not a complete fool. He's not like overlord. He is charming. He has got a suit. He has got a tie, and he has got a certain manner about him. He's staying in Sir Nigel's trailer, so he takes her back there. Now, obviously, you think that's going to be a casting couch situation, but Sir Nigel's bed is too petite for it. That's fine with him. He takes it on the chin, and he makes a joke about it and hands her a little chair. And she laughs. It's almost like she can get over herself and this notion of what this other guy has, who maybe not lives in LA, maybe just lives something a bit more down market, like Balham, because she feels that it's more better to have a secure future, a brightful future, one way she can afford electrolysis, and and give up on utter heart. She used to do this thing, and then when we rubbed our noses together, like the lower lip, I'd get a tickle here because of the beard. So, see, as we come to the denouement, you have this dark side that really kicks in. Then, ultimately, what happens is it just flips, though, because this is the one that's post-Gremlins. Ghoulies is a pre-Gremlins production film. Got a bit of a lift because Gremlins came out at the same time. Minor Kitty Moncho movies. This part 3 of this is when the rock and roll kicks in, the slapstick kicks in, the birdie noises when they knock people out, when they run people over with bumper cars, until they actually summon a massive demon, which again, it all actually follows a certain logic. Nigel's costume becomes a key part in distracting the major demon that's eating the minor demons, and it does get you in the end. Ultimately, it manages to pace the humour and the horror at the right places. It's not massively kinetic, but it sustains itself within its time. And there is a sense of a mythos there, because we have absolutely no idea what the priest is doing at the beginning. We have absolutely no idea where the cultists came from. There's a vague notion that they were from the first one, but really, no. It's on the MGM subscription, so even if you just get it for a 7-day trial, I would say watch Ghoulies 2. Or if you were going to watch a Ghoulies film, because of whatever reason, this is the Ghoulies film to see. I'm going to make special thanks as well to Paul and Graham, who do the Ghoulies Unflushed podcast. They do a great one. It's minutiae. It's a minutiae podcast, and I always try and find some time to try and listen to it, because as much as I get into the triptychs about cat, rat, fish, those are my terms for them. They really do have a love of the franchise. The lengths they've gone to needs to be acknowledged. And guys, if you are watching this, because I'll send you a link, good luck with all you do in the reboot. I really think that what you do is your passion comes through each and every time. Until then, now is this week's episode of My Mum Said I Could Watch It. And my ex-wife is banned from the comments. She's happy in LA, apparently.